What if the real reason you keep losing battles in life has nothing to do with your talent, your background, your luck, or your circumstances, and everything to do with the lies you keep telling yourself when no one is watching? Most people are not defeated by the world first. They are defeated in private, in the silence, in the mirror. They say, I'm tired. They say, I'll start tomorrow. They say, I deserve a break. And little by little, those tiny lies become a personality. Brutal self-honesty is where mental transformation begins, because you cannot train a mind that is addicted to excuses. You cannot become dangerous if you are always protecting your own feelings. The hardest thing in life is not waking up early or pushing through pain. The hardest thing is looking at yourself with no filters and admitting that you have been soft in places where life demanded steel. That is shocking, because most people would rather protect their ego than face the truth. But truth is the first weapon. Once you stop lying to yourself, you become terrifyingly powerful, because now you know exactly what must be fixed, what must be built, and what must be destroyed inside you. What if the pain you've spent your entire life trying to avoid is actually the exact door to the strongest version of yourself? That changes everything, because now suffering is not an enemy. It becomes a training ground. Most people panic when life gets hard. Their first instinct is escape. They reach for comfort, distraction, excuses, entertainment, food, sleep, approval, anything that helps them avoid the fire. But the fire was never there to destroy them. The fire was there to reveal them. Pain strips away fantasy. Pain shows you who you are when the applause disappears. Pain shows you whether your confidence is real or rented. This is why hard moments matter so much. The breakups, the losses, the failures, the humiliation, the mornings when your body is begging you to stop. Those are the moments that carve depth into your character. Without pain, you stay shallow. Without resistance, you stay weak. The shocking truth is that comfort has probably done more damage to your potential than struggle ever did. Struggle forces adaptation. Struggle sharpens attention. Struggle builds endurance. If you learn to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to build in me? Then pain stops being punishment and starts becoming power. What if motivation is the most overrated drug in modern life? And the reason you keep failing is because you're waiting to feel ready before you do what must be done. Motivation is emotional weather. It changes every hour. Some mornings you feel invincible. Some mornings you feel empty. If your standards rise and fall with your feelings, your life will stay unstable forever. That is why discipline matters more than hype. Discipline is doing the work when your emotions are dead. Discipline is obeying the mission when your mood has abandoned you. Discipline is cold, repetitive, and often invisible, which is exactly why most people never master it. They want intensity without routine. They want results without structure. They want transformation without repetition. But greatness is boring before it becomes legendary. It is alarms. It is sweat. It is the decision to keep going when nobody is clapping. The shocking part is this: your life is not built by your biggest moments. It is built by your most repeated behaviors. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when you don't want to do it, you are training your mind to trust you. And once your mind trusts you, it stops negotiating with weakness and starts following orders. What if your biggest weakness is not failure, but your addiction to comfort? That soft bed, that delayed alarm, that endless scrolling, that habit of choosing ease over effort. It feels harmless, but it is quietly destroying your ability to endure. Comfort is seductive because it never attacks you directly. It slowly lowers your tolerance for struggle. It makes ordinary difficulty feel unbearable. Then one day, life hits hard and you collapse, not because you were cursed, but because you were untrained. That is why discomfort must become part of your lifestyle. Not for drama, not for punishment, for preparation. You have to deliberately place yourself in situations that demand more from your mind than it wants to give. Hard workouts, hard conversations, hard deadlines, hard truths. The point is not to suffer for show. The point is to increase your capacity. Every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, your threshold rises. You become less emotional, less fragile, less reactive. The shocking truth is that most people are not exhausted from doing too much. They are exhausted because they have trained themselves to resist every hard thing. The mind gets stronger exactly where it once used to beg for relief, and that strength becomes a weapon when life becomes merciless. What if the reason people quit is because they are trying to survive the entire mountain in their head instead of conquering the next 10 steps? The mind is strange. Show it the whole war and it panics. Show it the next mission and it can move. This is where mental toughness becomes practical. Never quitting is not one giant heroic act. It is a chain of small refusals. Refuse to stop in this minute. Refuse to fold in this rep. Refuse to give up in this conversation. Refuse to back down in this decision. That is how impossible things get done. Most people overwhelm themselves with distance. They think about how far they have to go, how much pain is coming, how long recovery will take, how difficult the road looks, and their mind shuts down before their body even starts. But when you narrow your focus, something changes. You stop fighting your entire future and start dominating your present. The shocking thing is that even the strongest people in the world are not always fearless. They just know how to reduce the battle into manageable pieces. One breath, one step, 1 hour, one promise kept. The person who masters the next moment can eventually master the next year, because all big victories are made of smaller moments that were not surrendered. What if quitting is not something you do once, but something you practice until it becomes part of your identity? And what if the opposite is also true? What if resilience is not a gift, but a self-image built one hard decision at a time? That means every action you take is casting a vote for the person you are becoming. When you fold under pressure, when you avoid the hard task, when you break your word to yourself, your brain records it. It learns, this is who we are. We escape, we delay, we negotiate. But when you stay, when you finish, when you keep moving despite fear or fatigue, the mind records that too. It learns, this is who we are. We endure. Identity is not built in speeches. It is built in evidence. Cold evidence, repeated evidence, private evidence. The shocking truth is that confidence is not something you think yourself into. Confidence is what appears after you survive what you once believed would break you. When enough proof stacks up, quitting starts to feel unnatural. Your standards harden, your reactions change, your threshold rises. At that point, toughness is no longer something you perform. It becomes the way you live, the way you decide, the way you move when life tries to bury you. What if the reason you keep quitting has nothing to do with your body and everything to do with a mind that has been trained to run the moment life gets hard? Let's get honest. Most people don't quit when they are destroyed. They quit when they are uncomfortable. They quit when it gets boring. They quit when nobody notices. They quit when progress is slow. They quit when the version of themselves they imagined collides with the reality of who they actually are. And that's where the war begins. The war is not out there. It is not in the weather. It is not in your schedule. It is not in your past. It is in your head. Your mind has been talking to you for years. It has been negotiating with weakness. It has been making deals with comfort. It has been selling you excuses dressed up as logic. You can do it tomorrow. You've already done enough. You deserve a break. This is too much. This is not your day. That voice sounds reasonable. That's what makes it dangerous. If you want a mind that never quits, you have to stop treating yourself like someone who needs constant rescue. You need truth, raw truth, the kind of truth that hurts your pride and rebuilds your character. Look at your life. Look at where you fold. Look at the promises you keep breaking to yourself. Look at the standards you lower when pressure shows up. That's the starting point. Because the person who cannot tell the truth about their weakness will never build real strength. And then comes the part nobody wants to hear. You do not build an unbreakable mind in comfort. You build it in friction. You build it in repetition. You build it in pain. You build it in the moments where your feelings are screaming one thing and your standards demand another. That is where the transformation happens. When the alarm rings and every part of you wants to stay in bed, that is not a small moment. That is training. When your body wants to stop and your mind wants relief, that is not inconvenience. That is training. When life embarrasses you, rejects you, defeats you, and dares you to come back stronger, that is not cruelty. That is training. Stop asking for an easier path. Start becoming harder to stop. You don't need more hype. You need more proof. Proof that you can suffer without collapsing. Proof that you can keep your word when nobody is watching. Proof that your commitment is stronger than your mood. Proof that pain does not own you. Proof that discomfort does not control your decisions. That proof is built through discipline. Motivation is unreliable. It disappears when sleep is short, when stress is high, when results are delayed, when life gets messy. Discipline is what remains when the feeling is gone. Discipline is not exciting. That's why almost nobody has it. It is waking up and doing the work with no applause. It is repeating the basics until they become part of your nervous system. It is choosing standards over emotions again and again until your mind stops arguing. And make no mistake, your mind will argue. It will tell you to slow down. It will tell you to wait. It will tell you this discomfort is dangerous when it is really just unfamiliar. It will try to make you soft in the name of self-protection. You must learn to hear that voice without obeying it. That is mental training, not pretending pain doesn't exist, not acting like fear isn't real, not becoming a machine with no emotion. Mental training is learning that feelings can speak, but they do not get to decide. You decide. And here's something powerful. You do not have to conquer the next year today. You do not have to dominate the whole mountain in one shot. You just have to win this moment, this rep, this mile, this hour, this decision, this conversation, this morning. The person who can control the next moment becomes dangerous because life is nothing but moments stacked on top of each other. People think champions are built in giant moments. They are not. They are built in thousands of invisible moments where quitting was available and rejected. That is how identity is formed. Not by what you say, not by what you post, not by what you dream about, by what you do when it gets hard. Every hard thing you finish becomes evidence. Every excuse you reject becomes evidence. Every promise you keep becomes evidence. And eventually your mind starts changing. It stops seeing struggle as a threat. It starts recognizing struggle as home. It stops panicking in discomfort. It starts performing in discomfort. It stops asking, can I do this? It starts saying, I've done hard things before. I know who I am. That is the level you are trying to reach. A place where quitting no longer matches your identity. A place where pressure sharpens you instead of breaking you. A place where pain becomes information, not an exit sign. A place where you do not need perfect conditions to move, because life will never be perfect. You will be tired. You will be doubted. You will be overlooked. You will be hit with setbacks that feel unfair. Go anyway. Train anyway. Build anyway. Become anyway. Do not wait for confidence. Earn it. Do not wait for courage. Practice it. Do not wait for a lighter load. Become stronger shoulders. The truth is brutal but freeing. Nobody is coming to save your standards. Nobody is coming to force discipline into your routine. Nobody is coming to hand you a stronger mind. You build it, one hard choice at a time, one painful rep at a time, one honest look in the mirror at a time, one refusal to quit at a time. And if you do that long enough, consistently enough, violently enough in your commitment, something changes. You stop being the person who hopes. You become the person who endures. You stop admiring toughness from a distance. You start living it. You stop asking whether you have what it takes. You become the answer. Train your mind to never quit by telling yourself the truth, by making pain your teacher, by choosing discipline when motivation dies, by stepping into discomfort on purpose, by winning the next moment instead of fearing the whole journey, and by building an identity that refuses to fold under pressure. A powerful life is not built by people who never feel fear, never feel pain, or never feel doubt. It is built by people who feel all of it and keep moving anyway. That is the difference. That is the edge. That is the transformation. When your mind learns that struggle is not the end, but the beginning of growth, you become a force that life cannot easily break. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is a mind that has been trained to quit? The second life gets uncomfortable. What if you are not actually weak, broken, unlucky, or finished, just undisciplined in the one place that controls everything? Your mind. Because the truth is brutal. Most people don't stop when they're done. They stop when it starts to hurt. They stop when it gets boring. They stop when nobody is watching. But what happens when you become the kind of person who keeps going anyway? What happens when pain stops scaring you? When excuses stop working on you? When discipline becomes stronger than your mood? In this video, you're going to learn how to build a mind that does not run, does not beg for comfort, and does not fold under pressure. Stay with me, because by the end, you won't just feel inspired. You'll be ready to become dangerous to your old limits.